Gilles Tétrault had just moved to Edmonton, Canada, recently divorced and looking to meet new people.
You know, it was really hard to meet people, especially in a new city. So I decided to try this online dating thing.
He tries plenty of fish and reels in what looks like a winner.
And what was her name?
Well, on her profile, her name was Spider Webs. But then once we started chatting, she told me her name was Sheena. She was really forward very quickly. Like, she started asking me what my plans were for Friday.
When Friday comes, Gilles follows Sheena's directions to the home, entering through the garage to the back of the house.
And then she'd leave the garage open for me, and then I can go through the garage into the backyard and then knock on her door in the back of the house.
What were you thinking of all this?
Oh, I didn't trust it at all.
And when he walks in, his virtual hookup turns into a date with terror.
That's when somebody came out of somewhere and attacked me from behind.
Someone in a hockey mask jumps him, armed with a stun gun and a real gun, and it's no woman.
And that's when he actually took a gun out and he pointed at me, and I just froze. I'll never forget his eyes. They were crazy. I knew just by the look in his eyes that he was gonna kill me that day.
Gilles can't run. The guy has tased him to his knees, and when he tries to crawl away, he's dragged back.
And again, I thought I was dead because I'm like, it took me all this time to think of a way on how to escape. And now I'm gonna have to do it all over again.
After attempting to crawl down the driveway, a speck of hope, a couple walking their dog.
So all I could get out was, there's a man after me, he's trying to mug me, please help me.
It was enough to spook the masked man. That's when Gilles made his escape.
So I started the truck, I slammed the door, and I put it in reverse all at the same time, and I drove off. Every nightmare I've ever had, every horror movie came back to me, and I got shivers down my back.
Too ashamed to go to the police, Gilles just tells friends and co-workers that he was mugged. But when he comes back to the dating site to look for Sheena, she's gone. But not for long. 1 week later, another guy gets caught in Sheena's trap, but now she's calling herself Jen. Johnny Altinger, described as a quiet computer nerd, shows up for his hot date and promptly disappears.
He was just a regular guy who was hoping to have a hot date on a Friday night. Johnny had a really good group of friends, and they noticed that he was missing nearly immediately.
His friends get this strange message sent from Johnny's email account. I've met an extraordinary woman named Jen who has offered to take me on a nice long tropical vacation. See you around the holidays, Johnny.
They ended up actually going to his house and looking through his things.
They find something else. Driving directions leading straight to the location of Johnny's recent date.
She wanted Johnny to enter the house through the back. She would leave the back garage door open.
Detectives end up at this rundown garage rented by this young man, Mark Twitchell. He's a big fish in a very small pond of Edmonton's film scene, and cops learn Twitchell is making another movie at the time, featuring gruesome special effects and a main character modeled after his favorite TV show, Dexter.
I'm a blood spatter expert. Remember, I see things others miss.
In the movie script, there's this masked killer who kills someone in his kill room and really mimics Dexter. So there's a kill table, there's, plastic sheeting to, kill the victim, dismember the victim, and then dispose of the remains.
Twitchell tells investigators he had nothing to do with Johnny's disappearance. The props are only a part of his movie, and they buy it.
Police weren't suspicious of Mark Twitchell. They thought he was just sort of an eccentric, filmmaker.
But then, a plot twist. Twitchell emails the police. The subject line reads, "More info that might be useful." Twitchell suddenly recalls a complete stranger approaching him in a gas station the night Johnny disappeared, offering to sell him a $20,000 car. The price? $40.
When the detectives heard that, they're like, what? There's no way he bought a car off someone for $40. And they actually went and located the car, and sure enough, it's Johnny Altinger's car. Everything snowballed from there. They get a search warrant for the garage to look at his film studio to see what's happened in there. And it was really this film studio where they realized that all of these movie props and this film set wasn't actually a film set, that this was reality. Everything in that garage had some sort of forensic evidence of it that was of value. There was a hockey mask, they found a stun baton, they used luminol to look at the floors, and there was, signs that there had been a pool of blood on the concrete. There was blood all over the table. There was blood spatter on the walls.
When they search Twitchell's car, they find blood, and lots of it, and there's even more.
Inside Mark Twitchell's vehicle is one of the most unbelievable sources of information in a criminal case you could ever find.
He had basically handed out leaflets saying something to the effect of, "We're shooting a film. You may hear some weird noises coming from the garage. Don't worry, it's nothing to be worried about.
It's just a movie.
It's just a film."
Mark Twitchell thought he had produced the perfect crime, but after a search of his car and garage, cops learned his horror show wasn't movie magic.
They realized, no, this isn't fake blood, this is the real thing.
Police bring Twitchell in for questioning.
We're not singing a movie, but it's a tough thing. This is real life stuff. You gotta get away from the movies. There's something else I want to tell you, Mark. And that's that there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that you're involved in the disappearance of John Altinger. No doubt in my mind at all, Mark. Why?
There is a big reason why. An unbelievable piece of evidence that catches everyone by surprise.
Mark Twitchell had actually brought his laptop with him and had kept it in his vehicle. And it was when they examined the laptop that they were able to find all of these recently deleted files.
Cops unearth his own manuscript of absolute mayhem, a single-spaced 42-page document Twitchell thought he had deleted with the simple title, SK Confessions. SK, cops say, is short for serial killer.
SK Confessions describes this story of a man who slowly transforms from being a regular guy to becoming a self-professed psychopath.
He was documenting what he was doing.
Twitchell describes setting up his, quote, little workshop of horrors, claiming to use online dating to rope in my victims. His description of butchering Johnny is both gleeful and grotesque. Writing, "I pulled my hunting knife from its sheath and thrust it into his gut. His reaction was pure Hollywood." Twitchell goes on to describe his attempts to cover up the crime. First, attempting to burn Johnny's body in a barrel. When that fails, he dismembered the body in a ghastly do-it-yourself autopsy. Twitchell disposes of Johnny's remains in a sewer where, quote, the body would rot away completely before anyone ever discovered the bones.
It was so gruesome that he couldn't really have made this up.
But there was one more telling detail in Twitchell's diary.
It talked about a guy who got away. Finding the surviving victim was a crucial step.
That's Gilles Tétrault. He had never spoken of the incident until he saw that mask staring back at him in the local papers and went to police.
I said, well, I'm the first victim and I got away. And I think you guys want to talk to me. And his jaw fell to the floor.
So we're struggling, and somehow I ended up this way again. He had many chances to kill me, he never did. It just wasn't professional. It was just like, it was maybe his first time.
So this diary was really a step-by-step about how he lured you and what he did to you.
That's right, yeah. If my story was true in the diary, then obviously the other story was true as well.
Investigators nailed Twitchell with a murder charge, taking him down, fittingly, on Halloween. Cops have a lot of evidence. What they don't have is a body.
Police were not able to find Johnny's remains, no matter how hard they looked.
Cops take Twitchell to the scene, hoping for answers.
You want to tell us where the body is now? We'll get this over with, get you back to the station.
But Twitchell doesn't have any more movie lines this time, stalling the case.
How do you prove a murder if you don't have a body?
But eventually, Twitchell decides to deliver the final chapter of SK Confessions himself, from jail.
Mark Twitchell didn't say anything and just pushed across the table a folded piece of paper.
Under a printed Google map of Twitchell's neighborhood are these words: location of John Altinger's remains.
The body was found only a couple of blocks from where the police had stopped searching.
2 years after the gruesome killing, Mark Twitchell goes on trial for first-degree murder.
He gave the most elaborate defense I've ever heard in my entire life. He called this thing multi-angled, layered psychosis entertainment.
The jury wrote a different ending. The verdict? Guilty as charged. Twitchell is sentenced to life in prison.